Maneva I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
Hello guys, you are once again welcome to PENDREAM TV, your #1 political show in Ghana and beyond. Today we bring you another reaction from Kwesi Pratt, responding to the action of OSP and some government officials and calling it a useless office, which I would like you to join me listening to what he said into detail. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, I think, look, we need to go back to the basics. Okay. The establishment of the office of the special prosecutor was just a political gimmick with no substantial consequences for legal practice in Ghana. It's a political gimmick. And we said so. And everybody ignored our counsel. The NDC ignored our counsel because at the time it did not want to be seen to be against measures to fight corruption, even though they knew clearly that this was a useless gimmick. The NPP on its part wanted to create the impression that it was taking the fight to corruption, the fight of corruption.
You mean the fight against corruption?
Against corruption to another level. This is the gimmick which brought the OSP into being. Because you see, no part of Article 88 of the Constitution, clause 1 to clause 6, has been amended by the establishment of the office of the OSP.
Fact.
Now, if you read Article 88, clauses 1 to 6 of the Constitution, it is clear that the Attorney General is still in charge of all criminal prosecutions and all civil suits against the government. It's still the authority, the final authority. Now, let me read the article for your benefit. Article 88, clause 1. There shall be an Attorney General who shall be a Minister of State and the principal legal advisor to government. That is clear. 2. The Attorney General shall discharge such other duties of a legal nature as may be referred or assigned to him by the President or imposed on him by this Constitution or any other law. 3. The Attorney General shall be responsible for the initiation and conduct of all prosecutions of criminal offenses. Clear. So clear. No other authority in Ghana, including the OSP, has a constitutional responsibility for prosecuting criminal cases other than the Attorney General. 4. All offenses prosecuted in the name of the Republic shall be at the suit of the Attorney General or any other person authorized by him in accordance with any law. This is where the OSP comes in. Okay. So when the OSP is carrying out prosecutions, it is deemed that it is doing so on the authority of the Attorney General. You understand?
Right.
Now, clearly, if the OSP starts a prosecution, any prosecution, the Attorney General can, without the permission and reference to the OSP, enter nolli prosecutor. So this OSP contraption is just a joke created for political purposes. You understand? Now go to 5. It says the Attorney General shall be responsible for the institution and conduct of all civil cases, even civil cases. It says the Attorney General shall be responsible for the institution and conduct of all civil cases on behalf of the state, and civil proceedings against the state shall be instituted against the Attorney General as defendant. 6. The Attorney General shall have audience in all courts in Ghana. You understand? So this contraption, and the OSP is just a contraption. This contraption was created for the reasons which I've stated earlier, but really in substance has no powers. It's subordinate to the office of the Attorney General. Completely subordinate to the office of the Attorney General. So that must be clear.
So what did we do? What have we done? We've created an organ. We've created an institution that cannot take its own decision. Anyway, you just please go ahead.
Yeah, but you're right.
We say
You are right. We've created an institution which has no original powers. Okay? Now, with regards to the current dispute or apparent dispute between the OSP and the Attorney General, there are allegations against Mr. Ken Ofori, and I think it's important to emphasize that these are allegations. These are matters of public interest. These are matters that the OSP wants to investigate. So as we speak now, Mr. Ofori is not a criminal. He has not been convicted by any court of law. But there are suspicions, there are allegations, there are matters in which the state claims that it wants to set the records straight in order to be able to determine whether or not he should be prosecuted. The OSP started this investigation. Now, the OSP insists that it needs the physical presence of Mr. Ofori to be able to carry on with this investigation, which may lead to prosecution. Mr. Ofori, on the other hand, insists that he doesn't have to be physically present and that he's ready to do everything possible through his lawyers to enable the OSP to establish the facts of the matters before them. This is a contention between Mr. Ofori and the OSP.
Because he's unwell.
Yeah, Mr. Ofori says that he's unwell, that he's suffering from prostate cancer.
Yes.
Okay, which is very interesting. That's a separate matter. There are so many people in Ghana who are alive. They are working in the public services. They are working in the private sector. Some of them may be in jail. Some of them may be working at the highest echelons of government and so on, who have prostate cancer. Prostate cancer is not an excuse for not performing national duties. It's not an excuse, cannot be an excuse. You understand? But that is his claim. Now, in the light of these developments, the OSP, in its wisdom, then declares Mr. Ofori a wanted man and issues a red Interpol alert. Of course, a red Interpol alert would not lead to his extradition. You understand? What you need to do if you want Mr. Ofori back in Ghana to answer questions and so on is to extradite him from wherever he is. And now the popular assumption is that he's in the United States of America. Okay. The OSP, because of its inferior position, inferior constitutional provision, cannot start an extradition process.
No, it can't.
It cannot. It doesn't have the power so to do.
Yes.
That power is vested in the Attorney General. Because of the OSP's inferior constitutional position. Okay? So what the OSP has to do then is to refer the matter to the Attorney General for action. Strangely, very, very strangely, the OSP now writes to the Chief of Staff to facilitate the extradition. How? How? OSP cannot communicate with its superior organ, which is the Office of the Attorney General, has to do so through the Chief of Staff. Whatever it is, the Chief of Staff then forwards the letter to the Office of the Attorney General. The Attorney General says, look, we cannot start the process of extradition if there's no docket.
No, sorry, before you even go to that point, you know, the matter about why the OSP had to write to the Office of the Chief of Staff to seek some kind of assistance was because, and I've heard the director of research and policy, and I believe it's communication also, explain that there's something they call the political character question. And the political character question would be, does Ghana want to extradite Ken Ofori to Ghana? Now, if we
have you read Article 88?
No,
have you read Article 88? If you've read Article 88, you will not go where you're going
the
at all.
OSP explains that that question ought to be answered. Yes, the chief of staff then says, yes, we want Ofori in this country.
The chief of staff cannot even make that decision without reference to the attorney general.
And that is why the chief of staff then, the following day, it was on the 2nd of June. On the 3rd of June, the chief of staff then writes to the office of the attorney general and says, OSP says he needs your help. Kindly support them. Kindly assist them.
Moro, don't waste your time.
Okay.
The issues we are raising is just...
You don't buy that argument?
It's not buying the argument. It's just a waste of time.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Because the chief of staff has no locus to make any determination on a legal matter without reference to the attorney general. And the OSP, as a lawyer, as a law-governed organization, so should know that. You understand? So they write to the chief of staff, and the chief of staff rightly refers the letter to the attorney general.
Okay.
The attorney general says that, look, we cannot proceed without a docket. So whatever state the docket is in at that moment, whatever state, completed, uncompleted, whatever, bring the docket. But in addition to bringing the docket, we need 2 of your investigators to work with us in order to prepare to make the case for extradition. As we speak now, today, that docket has not been submitted.
They're still investigating.
Did you read the letter from the Attorney General's office?
Yes, I did.
It says, whatever state the docket is in, completed, uncompleted, whatever, bring it.
And they said they are not ready.
To bring the docket as it is.
No, they said they can't unless they are done with the investigations. And you can't force them.
But the OSP, based on Article 88, is only exercising powers that the Attorney General allows it to exercise.
Right.
It's a subordinate organization. Is that clear?
No, that's true. Yes.
It's a subordinate organization. So how does the subordinate organization say that we will not listen to, we want to do as we like? And indeed, if you read the letter from the Attorney General, its insistence that, look, wherever the docket is, whatever state the docket is, bring it. But bring 2 of your investigators along. It's a clear message. It's a clear message that at that stage, the Attorney General wanted to exercise oversight over the process, as is empowered by law, by the Constitution to do. It is clear that at that stage, the Attorney General was exercising its full powers, and so on. So what is the basis of the reluctance of the OSP to submit the docket? These are the issues at play.
Question is, Kwesi,
Yeah.
does the Attorney General's department really need a docket, strictly speaking? Do you need a
From
docket?
all the lawyers I've heard, I'm not a lawyer, I didn't go to law school, okay? But from all the lawyers I've heard, all of them, without exception, have made the point that to institute an extradition process, you need a docket.
You just need information.
No, you need a docket.
Information. Has there been an arrest warrant? You send it. Has there been an Interpol red alert notice? You send it. Has there been, how do you call it, what are the, like you rightly mentioned, the officers from the OSP who are supposed to join the Attorney General's, officials from the Attorney General's department to go and do this extradition in America. You supply them. Finish. Because that docket we're talking about, Kwesi, also has many other institutions and businesses who are being investigated in that same docket.
No.
We're being told.
No.
There's the SML
No.
group, which is contained in that same document.
But that is in relation to Ken Ofori and his conduct as finance minister.
Yes.
Finished.
Yes.
So it doesn't have others, only one.
No, but the OSP, the OSP is saying that you want to extradite Ken from America. We can give you the information related to Ken Ofori as in Ken Ofori, and not all the other allied institutions that have been investigated in relation to Ken Ofori. We don't want to give you that. That's the OSP's position.
No.
And that docket contains other information, pieces of information that you, Attorney General's Department, you don't need.
No,
I'm saying that's what the OSP tells us through that statement that they issued.
Yeah, but it appears that you believe that.
No. I'm just asking questions based on what they're saying.
Don't worry about that.
Okay.
The OSP claims that it is investigating Mr. Ofori in respect of many transactions that he carried out on behalf of the government of Ghana, including the STL and so on. Okay. So you cannot ask for extradition without providing information on the transactions that he undertook on behalf of Ghana with all the other organizations. You cannot.
Okay.
That's the gravamen of the case. That's the basis of the case for extradition.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So nobody should make that argument.
Okay.
It is too pedestrian.
Right.
Please, don't waste our time with that argument. It's just too pedestrian. You understand? So this is where we are. I agree with my brother here that, look, what is all this about? All of this is about safeguarding the interests of the people of Ghana, of the Republic of Ghana. So whatever it takes, we ordinary people who have not been to Makola and so on, what do we expect? We expect maximum cooperation between the OSP and the Attorney General's office in order to protect the interests of the people of Ghana. You understand? You know, sometimes, my brother, sometimes, you know, not out of immodesty, but sometimes you feel like claiming vindication. You know, sometimes you feel like claiming vindication. And this is one of the occasions on which I have a feeling that perhaps I should claim vindication. Two things. When the Office of Special Prosecutor was being established, we made the point that it was a useless enterprise. That for as long as the Constitution is not amended and the power to prosecute is solely vested in the Attorney General, appointed by the President and so on, this office will not serve the purpose for which it was being created. We also made the point that for as long as it's the President who appoints the Special Prosecutor, it does not change the aesthetics around the appointment of the Attorney General. Because they are all appointed by the President.
Yeah.
You understand? So the aesthetics will not be changed in any substantial way. So I feel like claiming vindication on that score. You understand? The other thing for me, which is crucial, is that, you know, that I think about 2 years ago, I was invited to deliver the Atta Memorial Lectures. And in that lecture, I made the point that an incoming administration should not create the impression that its central focus is prosecuting wrongdoers, especially corrupt elements. Because it would definitely run into a bind. Okay? So the most important focus, which would make political sense, would be to alleviate the suffering of people immediately. And that the fight against corruption and all of those things are important, but you don't present it as your main focus in an election. You can imagine what happened after I delivered the lecture. telephone calls. Why are you supporting these corrupt elements? They have to go to jail. You know, these MPP elements, throw them. The first priority is to throw them into jail. And if we throw them into jail, our base will be satisfied and so on. Now look at where we are. 9 months in office. There's been no substantial what? I'm finding the word. There has been no substantial move towards realizing that objective. And it is not the fault of the Attorney General. It is not the fault of the OSP. Our legal and judicial system is built in such a way that if you have the resources, you can drag one case for 20 years without achieving the results. This is the legal system, legal and judicial system we have constructed. Look, the Opuni case lasted almost 8 years. President Kufuor came and instituted the case against Mr. Tatu Chikata. It outlived him. You understand what I'm saying? So, politically, it may sound nice. It is populist to go out there threatening that all your opponents will be in jail very soon and so on. But really, with this architecture, why? The president has found it necessary to have a meeting with the Attorney General and the Chief Justice over the mechanism, for ensuring that those who have been found out through the Auditor General's work, who have embezzled our funds and so on, are brought to book. We've been operating this constitution since 1992. The mechanism prescribed by the Constitution for dealing with these matters has not been established up to today, since 1992. You understand? So we have a problem. By all means, let's fight against corruption. By all means, if we can recruit what has been taken from the public purse, let us do so.
Okay.
But you cannot do so outside the framework of the law. It is impossible in this bourgeois democratic era to do so outside the framework of the law. Okay. And this is the reality we are confronted with. Okay. One would have thought that this Ofori case was very simple. Okay, he's being investigated. There are allegations against him. He's required to come down to answer them. He's refusing to come on the basis of what, to all intents and purposes, are flimsy excuses. Prostate cancer, why? People go for surgery and go back home the same day, and so on. So on the basis of very flimsy excuses and so on, he's not coming.
Okay.
You need to execute an extradition order and look at the mess.
Enforce the laws of the Republic, and not to grant persons immunity from criminal investigations and prosecution. A court cannot injunct the OSP from investigating or prosecuting any person. The decision to investigate and prosecute lies with the investigation and prosecution authorities, such as the OSP. And the OSP has at all material times carried out its power to investigate with candor and professionalism, being minded of the rights of suspects under its investigation. Members of the press, just as it is essential that anyone accused of a crime should have free access to the courts so that he may be duly acquitted if found not guilty of the offense with which he or she is charged, it is also of the utmost importance that the judiciary should not interfere with investigation and prosecution authorities in respect of matters which are within their statutory powers. It will be gravely inimical to public policy, the fight against corruption, and the administration of justice if the court stepped into this arena to decide who should be investigated, who should be prosecuted, and who should not. That is not the function of adjudication. The danger of this startling decision is again quite obvious. a judge has in the process granted 2 persons immunity from investigation and in effect immunity from prosecution. This decision opens up a calamitous deluge, as every person under criminal investigation will be encouraged to take up to injunct investigation and prosecution bodies from investigating and prosecuting them. Indeed, there's a live case involving the OSP now, in which someone has taken the cue to seek to injunct the OSP from investigating them. The real and present danger looms largely on the consideration that by so doing, persons under investigation would end up conscripting the judiciary to clothe them with immunity from investigation and prosecution. Members of the press, I do not intend to sound as though I am predicting doom, but we are facing doom. The duty and mandate of the courts is to apply and enforce the laws of the Republic, and not to grant persons immunity from criminal investigation. But there is doom looming ahead of us, that very soon, a murderer will boldly walk to court to seek an injunction. Should I feel frustrated and resign? I took an oath when I was sworn in. And in my life, when I take on the reins to do something, I do it to the best of my ability. Those who do not understand tree, please forgive me. They say I'm a Ankwanoma. Me de me kra abo Ofori. Me ye de me to me. Emreswa eko.
Mr. Ofori is a subject of a number of criminal investigations, right? I think the one that is popular is the one that the OSP is conducting. And also, that is the one that we are made to believe is in an advanced stage where extradition will be required. And indeed, the OSP has already put the person on red alerts, Interpol red alerts. What it means is that it's a notice to the whole world that this person is a wanted man. But the Interpol alert is not an extradition, procedure. So if we really want the person to come, we need to make an extradition request to where we believe he is, which is the US. Now, this is what's, and listen to me carefully on this. We are the only authority, that's the Attorney General Office, we are the only authority that can make extradition. But we need a docket from, an investigative docket from the OSP to be able to make this extradition request. As of today, we still do not have a docket from the OSP. We have made several requests to the OSP, written letters, written demands to the OSP, asking that now that you've announced to the world that you are ready to have this person extradited, and there have been communication to that effect that even we've seen communication to the effect that the docket is ready and it's only the Attorney General that can make the. So we have been asking for the docket for a couple of, I think about 2 months now. We still do not have the dockets from the OSP. And so without the dockets, you cannot go to the American authorities and say, this is the person we want him. No, you need to show, because when they are asking for people to be extradited to the United States, they bring the full docket of, as if they are going to court. And then we take that docket to court for the court to see whether there's really merit for, bringing the person down. We have to do the same thing. We also have to take a full docket of all the evidence and what we believe the law, and then we take it to the United States authorities, and they will process the extradition and bring it.
You're still watching Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. It's also live on 94.1 FM on your radio dial, so please tell a friend in case you can watch us on TV. You can listen or monitor or follow the conversation on your radio dial at 94.1 FM. So I'm here with Honorable Seth Kwame Champong, who is a former MP for the Pratt constituency and also former Eastern Regional Minister. Also here is Mr. Kwesi Pratt Jr., seasoned journalist and an elderly statesman. Would you want to conclude on a minute each on OSP and AG? Oh, Seth.
Thank you. I think this conversation if we go further, we may be getting into the realm for some interpretation from the Supreme Court, because they are the only body who is mandated to do so, because in the function of the OSP, even though Act 959 is subservient to the Constitution, because the Constitution gave Parliament power to create and make that law. Once it becomes part of our laws, then you have to respect the law by rule of law. And so Section 4 of Act 959 says that the OSP is not under anybody's authority when he's functioning as OSP, as an institution. It is only when it needs to prosecute, then it is subjected to Article 88(4), because that is where it takes powers from the Attorney General to work. Subsequently, the Constitution also makes it such that in Article 88 by itself, people who can mandate, once it becomes part of our laws, it says that it is the Constitution who, by its own creation as supreme law, who can, enforce the OSP or any other body that the Constitution has given that authority to. So we are getting into realms where we may require some interpretation from the Supreme Court. But on that note, I think we need some useful cooperation. And I believe that Ghana, at the end of the day, should be the winner in all these conversations. And moreover, the OSP's office was created because we have experienced backlog of cases in this country. We want answers. I know we may be having further conversations on other subject matters that will require that we need every person, more often than not, speaks to the concern that we need to pay our officers of the Attorney General's office very well, because they are more often than not overwhelmed with cases. So you'd read that the courts are a marathon from some tabloids because cases continue to thrive in the courts. And it is because you need more hands to support the Attorney General's office. And by reason, Parliament, in wisdom, have also created certain prosecutorial powers to some institutions to act instead of the Attorney General's office. Okay. So these are a practice born out of our practice over the years with this Constitution. Whether or not you are able, you have to go by what the rule says. And so I would want us to be guided by that. Okay. And I believe that we'll make progress. Okay. I have confidence in the office. All I need is us cooperating in the interest of the Republic of Ghana. Mm-hmm. And like you heard from the soundbite when the Deputy Attorney General spoke, they need substance. And that substance can come from the OSP. The OSP is investigating, and I don't need to shy away that investigations can take long. It can tarry. And there are several cases that you and I can speak to, but for want of time, you give me a minute, so I can't go beyond that.
Master, you see, there are all kinds of laws, but there's a hierarchy. Even when it comes to laws, there's a hierarchy. And when you come to discuss the hierarchy of laws, the supreme law is the Constitution. So no law which can be deemed as being in violation of the Constitution can stand. A law is law or applicable law only to the extent that it conforms with the provisions of the Constitution. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
I get a point.
So, Parliament may pass laws, but even when Parliament passes laws, those laws ought to be in conformity with both the spirit and letter of the Constitution to gain validity. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
Okay. I follow.
Now, if you come to Article 88, 88, 4, it is clear. It says, all offenses prosecuted in the name of the Republic of Ghana shall be at the suit of the Attorney General or any other persons authorized by him in accordance with any law. So it is clear. Now, the other thing which is also very clear is the fact that the OSP's primary responsibility is prosecution. There's no other responsibility. Even the name of the office spells that out clearly. Office of Special Prosecutor. So the gravamen of its work is prosecution. Finished. And that power is not vested in the OSP. It's vested in the Attorney General. So when the OSP goes to court to prosecute, he does so exercising the powers of the Attorney General. I hope you understand what I'm saying very clearly. And that is why I have always insisted that this aberration of the OSP was nothing but a political gimmick. Nothing but a political gimmick.
All right. Someone need Nakuduwara. He sent his message. It's a bit long, but it's a very interesting one. He says, good morning, guys. 1, there is no law that compels OSP to hand over a docket to the AG. 2, the docket on the matters regarding Ken Ofori has other suspects named in it, but the extradition is in respect of Ken alone. So OSP cannot and will not hand over the entire document to the AG, even correspondence between OSP and government has been leaked to loudmouth propagandists. How much more the contents of a docket? 3, what AG needs are details of the case as they relate to Ken, which the OSP has provided to the AG, but left with a few more details. 4, I have heard Ken Taylor say, that's what he's talking Kevin Taylor, say that OSP reports to the AG, absolute balderdash, which law says OSP reports to AG. 5, the undercurrents of this whole brouhaha is something else other than the deliberately created confusion about the word docket. 6, even under the NPP, there were 2 failed attempts to impeach the OSP, so we see what is happening here, but it will still not succeed. I think number one has decided never to interfere in the work of the OSP, but some folks planning to loot are on an agenda to see the back of the OSP. This matter is not about any dockets. They know exactly what they're up to. Now that's from someone
there are so many problems
with his message.
There are so many.
I just want to make a little qualification. I want to make a little qualification.
I think we should not mislead the public. Okay.
Interestingly, Franklin agrees with him. Interestingly.
Please.
Yes, I'm listening.
When it comes to extradition, the only person who the OSP is seeking to extradite is Ofori.
Yes.
He's the only person the OSP is seeking to extradite. Okay. Now, this question about the mandate of the OSP is not in dispute. Article 88 of the Constitution, Clause 4, sets it out so very clearly. If the power to prosecute is vested only in the Attorney General, vested only in the Attorney General by the Constitution, any institution which is prosecuting does so on behalf of the Attorney General, and therefore its subordinate position is established. And mind you, the OSP is not the only organization which does prosecutions on behalf of the Attorney General. The Ghana Police Service,
yes,
Yoko, and several others do prosecutions, and they are deemed to be doing those prosecutions on behalf of the Attorney General. And therefore, their inferiority status is established beyond doubt.
Okay.
Don't throw dust into the eyes of the public.
Let's do this.
No. Let me just help Kwesi a little bit. You see,
I want us to move on.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure.
Section 2 of Act 5. I just want to read it for clarity.
Okay.
you see, the object of the office is to, A, investigate. Because we are talking about investigation, that's why I'm emphasizing on that, is to investigate and prosecute specific cases of alleged or suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses. B, recover the produce of corruption and corruption-related offenses. And C, take steps to prevent corruption. So if you listen to the texter, he is coming from the third leg, if you are reading the section 2 in whole. So that is his assumption. That's what he's trying to create. That's why I was telling Kwesi that, yes, prosecution is part of the work of the OSP, but he has investigative functions as well. So that is why they are telling us that they are investigating. Likewise, the Attorney General says he needs the matters they have investigated to work and progress on the extradition that we are seeking to go on with.
Except that, you know, the powers of investigation given to the OSP under the law are for purposes of prosecution.
Yes.
So,
yes,
so
yes.
the power to investigate...
No, I'm not in... That is not in dispute at all. That is not in dispute at all. That is not in dispute at all.
Reference the substantial duty of the OSP. Okay.
But what do we make of the growing calls for the office to be scrapped? I mean, it appears to be gaining some serious momentum and currency. I mean, if you go on social media...
Well, I think what appears to be gathering momentum is not a call for scrapping the office, but a call for removing the OSP.
But Kwesi, if everything you have said so far, which is actually a fact, because I've been following your submission or your stance on this matter, and you have given us more than enough information by your reading of the Constitution to support this view that the creation of that office in the first place was a mistake, was a wrong step. So based on that, there are growing calls for it to be scrapped.
More, I don't believe in that submission.
I'm coming.
I don't believe in that submission.
Masa, I beg you.
I don't believe in that.
Masa, I'm coming, please. I'm saying that there are no growing calls for the office to be scrapped. There are growing calls for the special prosecutor as special prosecutor to be dismissed. Okay? And you need to make that distinction. Now, I firmly believe, and I've said so several times this morning, that the creation of that office was a gimmick. And that is what has landed us here.
So why keep it?
I beg you, hold on. That is not to say that there was not a problem that the creation of the office was seeking to cure. That's a problem. And the problem was described most eloquently by former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. The problem is this. The Attorney General is part of cabinet. The Attorney General is appointed by the President. So to all intents and purposes, when the Attorney General acts, he is seen as acting from a politically biased position, whether you like it or not. Okay. So the creation of this office was intended to cure that. But I'm saying that it has not cured that. To the extent that the OSP is also the choice of the President, appointed by the President. So for this link with the Attorney General, link between President and Attorney General, arising out of the power to appoint, also applies to the OSP. You understand what I'm saying?
I get it.
Now, if you take many other factors into consideration, many other factors, the constitutional provisions, the way in which the office functions and so on, it does not cure the problem it sought to cure. So that problem is still there, needs to be cured, okay? Public perception is also growing in a totally different direction and so on. This maze of complexity is what we are supposed to address.
You see, Kwesi,
to tell you the truth, I don't know how to address it.
Kwesi, you know, sorry we're belaboring this point or we're splitting hairs over this matter, but depending on where you are, who you're listening to, and where you're reading your information from, it appears that the two calls that you just made this morning are all very current. There are those who say the office is useless, and there are those who say, okay, the office is good, but sack the guy who's there. But in all of this, why did Matiamidu leave there? He complains about political interference, executive interference. So for as long as this executive interference, which we say we want to kill, and as you rightly put it, by setting up the office or establishing the office of the special prosecutor, does not go away, even if today Mahama decides that he won't have anything to do with what the OSP does. We've just seen what is happening between the Attorney General's office. And you have eloquently put it that, oh, the man can't do much, can do some, but can't do much without support of the Attorney General's office. And the Attorney General's office, we know, is part of the executive. And I'm back to the question, the fundamental question here being, should this stay as the OSP? Forget about the guy who's there. Should the office stay or must go? At some point, we have to make that decision. This back and forth every day, and nothing happens. Oh,
so Moro,
let's make
we all make this mistake.
In Ghana, we do.
Moro.
What, don't you have confidence in your country, Ghana?
Well,
I do. Thank you.
We all make this mistake. But it's a grievous mistake. And the mistake we make is that we keep saying that the Supreme Court is the final arbiter when it comes to the interpretation of the Constitution, or disputes about the interpretation of the Constitution. It is not true. If you read the Constitution recognizes that ultimately sovereignty resides in the people.
Okay.
So the will of the people as expressed is the final arbiter. And I say that, look, the people of Ghana can decide tomorrow that we don't want a Supreme Court. The people of Ghana can decide that we don't want a Supreme Court. The people of Ghana can decide that we don't want a parliament. You understand what I'm saying?
I get it.
Okay. So the final arbiter, we should never forget at any time that ultimately, eventually, the final arbiter in all legal, political, social disputes and so on is the people.
Wasn't that well expressed in 2024? What was it?
To some extent.
Okay. Let's go. Let's move on. The still speaking about accountability and which mechanisms.
Moro, just I beg your pardon. It's as if I'm dragging this matter.
No, you're not.
And what Kwesi said is true, because the judiciary expresses what the republic, the people. It says, let me read the judicial power of Ghana. Article 1251. Justice emanates from the people and shall be administered in the name of the republic by the judiciary, which shall be independent and subject only to this constitution.
Okay.
So we, by a referendum, agreed that this is the rule book we want this country to be governed. Okay. And so we, when we accepted it, had structures created in it.
Okay.
And that structure, anybody who exercises that authority, which is conferred on it by this book, is exercising it in the interest of the people.
In the name of the people.
In the name of the people.
All right. So taking inspiration from Uncle Kwesi and Annie Efo Ampofu, the question still stands. Should the office of the special prosecutor be scrapped or not? And please, those of you who are watching us, either on social media or watching us on TV, please let us know what your view on this matter is. We do not.
Are you setting up an agenda for
anything? But we just want people to have a sense of what Ghanaians are thinking in terms of which direction.
Well, are you setting up an agenda for us?
Me, look, I take down Kwesi's posture. When you fight corruption or you jail people, you don't jail people. It doesn't put food on my table. But at the end of the day, we still want to know what Ghanaians are thinking. You know, it's essential. We just talked about, you just read a portion of the Constitution that says the justice emanates from the people. We want to hear what the people are thinking.
I am in sync with you.
But who says that the people of Ghana are on your screen?
Oh, who's on our screen?
There are 25 million people of Ghana. They are not on your screen.
Some of them.
I didn't want to take him on that line.
Some of them.
I didn't want to take him on that line. That is why I told you.
Some of them are watching.
That is why I told you that your pool, who will be your sample space.
It may not be scientific. It may not be empirical. I agree. But I'm saying that's what I'm saying. It gives us a sense. Anyway, so there's an aspect of corruption that we're trying to fight. This one is not an OSP matter. This one is, perhaps you say, the CID, and for that matter, the Attorney General's Department. We're talking about the Auditor General's report. I mean, for many years, we've been discussing what has become of the Auditor General's report. We're not doing much about the report. And the President is very frustrated about this. He thinks that anybody who has misappropriated or misapplied funds or stolen funds should quickly go to Sawam. There shouldn't be any delays at all. So how does he intend to do it? I'll tell you what how the President intends to do. So the President invited, the Auditor General invited the Acting Chief Justice, and then also invited the Attorney General. I'm talking about the President, invited these three very important heads of institutions. And here, there's been a policy decision. A policy decision, what I'm going to read to you. Specialized financial court, Daily Graphic. Specialized financial court will soon be established to deal with infractions in the Auditor General's report. The illegal mining, galamsey, menace, and other environmental-related crimes, President John Dramani Mahama has said. President Mahama said this at the end of a meeting with the Acting Chief Justice Paul Bafoboni, the Attorney General and Minister for Justice Dr. Dominic Ayine, and the Auditor General Johnson Ekwuamasiedu on Monday. The meeting recommended that the specialized courts would hold circuit adjudications across the country. In addition, the Auditor General will, in line with Article 1877B of the Constitution, continue to disallow illegal expenditures, and that's says 1877B. Disallow illegal expenditures and surcharge the persons responsible for them. Present at the meeting were Justice of the Supreme Court, Justice Gabriel Puamang, Judicial Secretary Musa Ahmed. There was also Chief of Staff Julius Debra, Legal Counsel to the President Marietta Brew, Presidential Advisor Josbawa Mokhtari, and the Minister of State for Government Communication, Presidential Spokesperson Felix Kwesi Ofosu. Good move. Seth, let me start with you.
We've been discussing impropriety in public office, and it didn't start today. The creation of the conversation we just had was as a result of similar actions. And so thinking aloud gave birth to the office that you are seeking to scrap. I believe that it is a good move because I have witnessed the public accounts of Parliament, and in particular Chairman Honorable Kandapa at the time when he used, under President Mills, when Kandapa was the chairperson for the Public Accounts Committee, where he attempted to detain a public servant who had some adverse findings against them. And that also became another conversation at the time. But fast forward, I think that it is a good step by Mr. President to help build public confidence in the stewardship all of us, one way or the other, have had an opportunity to serve this country. We need that. We just read the Constitution, and you understand that all that public officers do are done in the interest and in the name of the people of this country. And so the people of this country demand that there's some confidence that they require from public officers. So I support the action of the President, getting the Auditor General, because by June, the Auditor General would have filed all her reports to Parliament, for Parliament to review, and you know the number of sittings the Public Accounts Committee have held, and it is public knowledge to all of us. The findings are read open, and it is in an open camera discussion, and so we all see it, and the people are seeing it. So I think the President, in responding to the call of the people, saw it wise. Like we said, the courts more often they're marathon. So cases keep tarrying and on and on and on and on. It is not the doing of the courts. That's why they create more courts, specialized courts, to ensure that certain matters are dealt with, dispensed with some efficiency, and then we move on in this game. Okay. So for me, this will be my take for now.
Okay. Okay, see. Auditor General. And matters arising.
You see, the current system of government is anchored on what has been referred to as the principle of separation of powers. Now, that clearly implies that the executive ought not to interfere in the work of the legislature and also the judiciary. This is the principle. And vice versa, the judiciary and so on, vice versa, so it's clear. So, where the president is dissatisfied with the conduct of the judiciary, or has reason to believe that some functions of the judiciary or the legislature are not being carried out properly, what are the options available to him? This is a fundamental question. Okay. So in discussing this matter, we have to return to this fundamental question. The president has a legitimate concern, and he's not the only one who has that concern. Many people have had that concern. I've had conversations with Mr. Albert Kandapa when he used to serve as chairperson of the Parliamentary Public Accounts Committee, who had the same concerns that the president has. You understand? So the concern is legitimate. There's a need to do something about it and so on. I mean, over the years, I've been at the center of organizing press conferences on Auditor General's reports, The striking thing is that nothing appears to happen after the parliamentary discussion and so on. Right now, I was looking for the relevant constitutional provisions. I was not able to find them. Okay. But if my memory serves me right, the Constitution actually prescribed the establishment of a public tribunal to deal with these matters. And the composition of the public tribunal included non-lawyers and so on. So that's very clear. Now, since 1992, that tribunal has not been established. I think it was in the era of Chief Justice Theodora Wood, who did not establish these tribunals, but then established special courts. And in my conversation with Mr. Kandapa in those days, he indicated that the Chief Justice was not very comfortable with establishing courts which did not have lawyers as panel. Okay. But then she indeed designated a number of courts, a special courts, to deal with cases which spring from the Auditor General's report. Now, Moro, here is the shocker. Since that time, not one case went before the special courts appointed by the Chief Justice. Not one prosecution happened. Okay? So you therefore cannot be arguing that it's the fact that we didn't establish those special tribunals which has led to this situation. Because even the special courts appointed by the Chief Justice, not one case, not one prosecution was before them. So there's a problem. And I have said on several occasions that the president has a legitimate concern which needs to be addressed. How to address it, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that the proper way to address it is to call the Chief Justice and call the Attorney General and get into a meeting about prosecutions. I'm not sure. But there's a problem which needs to be addressed. Finished.
Thank you for watching. What do you think about what Kwesi Pratt has said, referring to the OSP's office as a useless one or a political game? Do leave your comment below. Like and also share to other members to watch as well. Don't forget to subscribe as well. Thank you.
PENDREAM TV now, so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.